Well, students, today we have already discussed about what a simple economy is, why do problems arise in an economy, what are the central problems of an economy, and what type of mechanisms can be adopted to find solutions to these problems of an economy. So students, now this video is made so that you all can sit back at home and relax and go through the concepts, revisit the concepts all over again. Alright, so in case if you have any doubt, do let me know. Central problems of an economy. See students, we cannot directly understand what are the central problems of an economy. Before knowing and understanding about the central problems, we should first know two very important things. The first thing is the meaning of a simple economy, what a simple economy is. And the second important thing is why do these problems arise? That means the reasons or the causes behind these central problems. And students, once we get to know these two things, that is the meaning of a simple economy and the reasons or the causes behind these problems, after that we can understand or we can analyze the central problems of an economy. And once we have understood these problems, then we will also be able to derive conclusions regarding them. And students, at the end, the final task in our hand is to find out the various mechanisms that can be used or that can be adopted to find solutions to these central problems. So this is the pattern that we have to follow, in which we have to proceed. First, know the meaning of a simple economy. Second, know the reasons why these problems arise. Third, what are the problems that arise? And fourth, what are the mechanisms that can be adopted to find solution to these problems? Alright. So students, in an economy or in a society, people of diverse culture and people of diverse taste reside together, isn't it? In fact, human beings, students, are never satisfied, okay? So they want so many things, starting from the basic things to the luxurious items. People want various things. They need food, they need shelter, they need clothes, education, job, transportation, a good house, good salary. So the wants of the people are never ending. As soon as one want is satisfied, another want emerges. In fact, human beings are greedy, isn't it? So students, what happens? Despite of these unlimited wants that people have, the resources to satisfy these wants are not unlimited. On the contrary, these resources are very much limited. And students, most of the time, these resources fall short of the wants of the people. That means what the people want is always more than the resources available with them. We want so many things, but on the contrary, we do not have so much of resources to fulfill all our wants. So students, not only that, the third important point is that some resources, they are not only scarce, but at the same time they also have alternative uses. That means one resource can be put to so many uses, and as a result, students, people have to make a choice as to which want to satisfy first and which want can be postponed to a later period as well. For example, students, you want, suppose you have milk. With milk you can make so many things, right? You can make curd, you can make butter, you can make paneer, then you can make sweets. So if you want sweets and if you want curd as well, you want paneer as well, and if you have only let's say 1 liter of milk, then you will have to decide by using the milk which good will you make. Whether will you convert the milk into sweets, whether will you use it to make curd, or whether you will use it to make paneer. So what you will do, you will make a choice between all three things and you will choose that particular thing which is most urgent for you. And the things which can be postponed to a later period, the ones which can be postponed to a later period, you will postpone it to a later period, isn't it? So this is how people are compelled to make choices, because the resources are very much limited and their wants are unlimited, and these resources also have alternative uses. So people are left with no other option but to make choices as to which want should be satisfied at the very onset and which want can be postponed to a later period as well. So students, if I ask you why do economic problems arise, the economic problems arise mainly because of these three reasons. The first reason is that human beings, the wants of the human beings are unlimited. People have unlimited wants. People can never be satisfied. You cannot give them you can give them everything, and then also people will be left unsatisfied. So the first reason is human beings have unlimited wants. The second reason is the resources to satisfy these wants are limited. Even though our wants are unlimited, but the resources through which those wants can be fulfilled, those resources are not unlimited. They are very much limited. Okay, and not only that, these resources also have alternative uses. That means the resources which are scarce, they are not only scarce, but they can also be put to various uses. So that is why this problem of choice arises, and that is why the various economic problems arises. So students, if I ask you why do economic problems arise, or why does the problem of choice arise, then you have to write these 3 points, and then you will have to elaborate them as well. Okay. So students, these are the 3 reasons as to why economic problems arise. But what is the fundamental cause or the root cause behind all these 3 points? The fundamental cause is scarcity. Had there been no scarcity, then what would have happened? Even though people have unlimited wants, their wants would have been easily satisfied. Had the resources not been scarce, then there would have been so many resources, and we could have used all the resources to satisfy all our wants. So the root cause of all the economic problems is scarcity. Scarcity is the main cause behind all the economic problems. Scarcity means our resources to satisfy the wants are limited. That means our demand is more, but on the contrary, the supply is less. Okay. So students, now that we have come to know about a simple economy, in a simple economy, people have various desires, people have various wants, and the resources to satisfy the wants are limited. And not only that, these resources also have alternative uses. So that is why students, the central problems of an economy that are seen are: number 1, what to produce and in what quantities. Since the resources are very much limited, the people in a society are made to decide, they are compelled to decide what is to be produced, what good should be produced, and after deciding the good, we should also decide about the quantity that is to be produced. So the first important question that is to be answered by a society, or that is the central problem of a society, is what is to be produced and in what quantity. Okay, so people have to make choices regarding whether to produce more industrial goods or more agricultural goods, whether to produce more of basic goods or more luxurious goods. So in this way, a society have to make choices among the various goods and services available, and once they have decided about which good to produce, the next thing is how much to produce. That is also an important question. Okay, so the first central problem of an economy is what to produce and in what quantities. Then students, the second central problem of an economy is how to produce these goods. Once we have decided about which good to be produced and in what quantities, the next question that is to be answered is that how to produce these goods. This means which type of technology should be used in the production of various goods, whether to use more labor or whether to use more machines. So students, basically there are two technologies that are used, two technologies or two methods that are used. One is the labor intensive technique, and the other one is the capital intensive technique. So in labor intensive technique, more labor is used and less machines are used, whereas in capital intensive technique, more machines are used and comparatively lesser human labor is used. So students, the second central problem of an economy is the decision regarding which technology to be used in producing the goods. That is, how to produce the goods, whether to use more labor and less machines, or whether to use more machines or less human labor. Then students, the third central problem of an economy is for whom to produce. That means this is a question regarding the distribution of the goods that are produced. Once we have made the decision regarding what to produce and in what quantities, And once we have also decided about which technology to be used, that is how to produce, the next important question that a society should think about, or that a society should answer, is that for whom to produce these goods. That means once the goods are produced, how the goods should be distributed, whether the goods should be distributed more among the rich people or less among the poorer people, or the goods should be distributed in a more equitable manner. Okay, so it includes various questions such as who gets how much of the goods produced, how to divide the goods into different parts, who should get how much of the share, whether or not to ensure a minimum amount of consumption in the economy, etc. So this particular problem pertains to questions such as who should get how much of the good that is produced, or whether it is better to ensure that everyone gets a minimum amount of consumption in the economy. So these types of questions are required to be answered. So students, we have come across three central problems of an economy. The first problem is related to what is to be produced and in what quantities. The second problem is how the goods should be produced. That means which technology should be used, whether labor intensive technique should be used or whether capital intensive technique should be used. And then the third central problem is for whom to produce. That means here we have to make a decision regarding how to distribute the goods that are produced, whether to distribute them equally among all the sections of the society, or whether the richer section should get more or the poorer section should get less, or the poorer section should get more or the richer section should get less, or whether to ensure that everyone gets a minimum amount of consumption, minimum amount of goods that are produced. So these are the central problems of an economy. And why do these problems arise? Because human wants are unlimited, the resources to satisfy these wants are limited, and the resources also have alternative uses. And what is the root cause of all the economic problems? Scarcity is the root of all economic problems. Now students, the next question that comes to our mind is how to solve these problems. We have come to know about the central problems. Now, what can be done to solve these problems? Students, let me tell you, there are different or various, or you can say alternative mechanisms that can be adopted to solve these mechanisms. So it is important for us to understand which mechanism is more effective for the economy as a whole, which mechanism should be used such that it can prove to be more fruitful or it can prove to be more effective for the entire economy, not for just a particular section of the economy. Okay, so there are basically two broad mechanisms that are used. One is the positive economic analysis and the other one is the normative economic analysis. And students, which of this method is used, it will depend upon whether we are trying to figure out a solution or whether we are trying to evaluate the solution. So students, if we are trying to figure out a solution, if we are trying to find out a solution, then positive economic analysis will be used. But students, in case we are trying to evaluate the solution, whether how much effective one solution is, then normative economic analysis is used. Let me repeat once again. If we are trying to find out solutions, then positive economic analysis is used. And if we are trying to evaluate whether which method will be useful or which method will be more effective, basically when we are trying to evaluate the mechanisms or when we are trying to evaluate the solutions, then normative economic analysis is used. So students, let us now discuss in details what is positive economics and what is normative economics. Where students, positive economics basically means the economic theories, the economic policies which are developed by the various economists. So it basically refers to the facts and figures which can be verified, okay, which are in fact already been verified by the various economists. So students, in positive economics, it basically studies the economic problems related to the past, present and future. It studies the economic problems through the use of the economic policies or through the use of the economic theories. It studies the economic theories as they are. someone has made this theory and we will simply study the theories. It is based on facts and figures. It can be verified. Someone has already verified it. For example, students, suppose I have given you this statement: the government has introduced many poverty alleviation schemes since the eve of independence. So this is a fact-based statement. Someone has written this statement on the basis of some kind of fact that has been derived. So this is not a judgment-based statement. This is a fact that the government has introduced many poverty alleviation schemes since the eve of independence. That means from the time India has got its independence, the government has introduced, or the government has come up with various schemes that are related to the eradication of poverty. And students, this is a proven statement and it has been verified. So this is what positive economics deals with. It deals with the economic theories or the economic ideas or with the economic concepts as they actually are. But students, on the contrary, normative economics does not deal with the economic theories as they are. Rather, it deals with what should have been. It deals with what ought to be. Okay. So this type of economics study the opinions of the economist. What should have been done, why is it so? So it basically studies the thought process of the economist. It basically studies the opinions and viewpoints of the various economists regarding the various economic problems. It is based on value judgment. That means it judges or it provides its own opinion. It is not based on facts and figures. Okay, it is based on judgment. And students, since it is not based on facts and figures, it cannot be verified as well. So it rather studies what ought to be. That means what should be. It does not study what actually is. It studies what ought to be, what should be. For example, students, if I say poverty alleviation programs should be implemented properly to bring positive changes. So this means in this sentence, I am not talking about what the government has done. I am talking about what the government should do. It means the poverty alleviation programs that are being introduced, it should be implemented more effectively in order to bring about some positive changes. So here some person is giving his or her opinion. It is not based on fact, rather it is someone's opinion. It is someone's judgment. Okay, so this is the prime difference between positive economics and normative economics. In positive economics, we study the economic theories as they are. It relates to what economics actually is, and it is based on facts and figures. It can be verified for truth. But students, normative economics is not based on facts and figures, and it does not study the economic theories as they actually are. Rather, it studies what should be, what ought to be. It is not based on facts and figure, and it cannot be verified for truth. It is just based on value judgment. Okay. So students, these are your homework questions. Why do economic problems arise? So here you basically have to write those 3 points. Human wants are unlimited. Those ones have the resources to fulfill the ones are limited. And number 3, the resources have alternative uses. And students, you have to elaborate the points as well. Then the second question, state the root cause of all economic problems. So the root cause of all economic problems is scarcity. Then distinguish between positive economic analysis and normative economic analysis. So students, positive economic analysis studies what actually is, whereas normative economic analysis studies what ought to be. Positive economic analysis is based on facts and figures. Normative economic analysis is based on value judgment. Positive economic analysis can be verified for truth. Normative economic analysis cannot be verified for truth. Positive economic analysis is used to find solution to the economic problems, whereas normative economic analysis is used to evaluate the solutions. Okay, and then list out the major or the central problems of an economy. That means what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. And of course you have to elaborate. And then the last question, students, that explain the problem of what is produced and in how much quantities. So here basically you have to describe or explain the first central problem. Okay, so students, I hope you all are clear. In case you have any doubt, do let me know. I'll surely help you. Okay then, thank you. Take care and stay safe.